welcome to You Got Some Balls, the inappropriately named sports and culture show hosted by me, Coach Orlando of Align Performance LLC, and our voice of reason and maturity and athlete development, Professor Michelle. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, my brother?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right.
Good.
I have to tell you, and I know that this isn't shared by all Americans, so we will get into that as well.
Okay.
But I am on kind of a high after the Bad Bunny halftime. And it's an interesting thing because last year, immediately, like before it was over, I was watching Kendrick and I was like, oh my God, I see all this stuff. Like I was just like, I could barely get it out, right? And this one was a little different for me in that I watched it and I enjoyed it. I think I felt like I caught some things and went, oh, that's cool, that's cool. And then I heard some things and I went back and looked and I was like, that's even cooler than I thought. And
hmm
then I watched it over again today and I was like, wait a minute, I didn't even notice. That's even cooler than I thought. So this
Yeah.
has been like a slow burn
Yeah.
in an interesting way of me going like, oh, this was excellent. Like this wasn't just fun. This was a very well done performance and bit of storytelling. So that's where you find me is sort of going, I might have to dig into this thing a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
You
Well, I,
know, yeah,
I'm curious. So, my background, we've not gone in depth into it on this show, but
mm-hmm.
I'm from Alabama, and
Right,
my roots on both sides track deeply to the deep South.
right,
Mississippi, and Georgia,
mm,
Alabama. So, uh,
I think
and
I knew that.
pre-transatlantic experience, probably Cameroon,
Got it.
Nigeria, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
so I'm very
Hmm,
curious, knowing your Panamanian
mm-hmm.
roots,
Yeah,
what
yeah,
that experience was like for you, and the call out at the end where he reframes what it is to be America, right? Like
yeah,
I really want to hear from you about
yeah.
that.
No, that's actually I thank you. I really thank you for that question because that's part of the growing feeling. I think.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I was enjoying it all. There were things I very much recognized before that, like, the Marqueta, which felt very bodega-ish with the barbershop
Yeah,
next
yeah,
door. So I
yep.
was like, being from New York
New
and all that
York.
cultural exchange, it felt very like, okay, yep, I
Mm-hmm.
know what we're doing here. But I have to tell you, when he started listing off countries, how quickly I tuned in and was like, is he going to say Panama?
Mm-hmm.
Is he going to say Panama? And so he said it, I felt this glee. And Daphne started like hitting me like, yeah, he's in the country, you know what I mean? And it it speaks to, it's funny the way you framed it because it speaks to how little of that in the general course of my, American life I get, right? Like it's not
Mm-hmm.
every day that
Yeah,
somebody in a huge
yeah,
performance shouts out Panama. You know what I mean? It's just
for
not
sure.
a thing. And it was funny, I'll add a little bit to it because Daphne was like, oh, he didn't say Haiti. And I thought I heard it, but but in Spanish you say Haiti. And so it's right after Jamaica and it got lost. So I
Okay.
like sent it to her later and was like, listen, right after
It's
Jamaica, he
there.
says, and then yeah, and then she's like, yeah, you know what I mean? So it was just this sense of like, we in here, that vibe
Yeah.
of we in here. And I thought that ending, I mean, I guess they marched off and everything, but I think it was sort of like the essential ending of the performance part. And I just thought it was, if this makes sense, it felt both conciliatory and defiant. It felt like I embrace everybody, but if you're out here acting like all of this ain't included, that we're not on the same side. I thought it was very um delicate is the wrong word because then that gets into other stuff. But I just felt like it was very precise. Like I felt like some smart people sat around and said,
Oh yeah.
what exactly are we saying? And how exactly are we going to say it? But yes, I definitely had a swell of pride. I posted something more generally about it, and one of my cousins from Panama immediately was like, "I've never been so excited during a
Mhm.
Super Bowl, and when she,
Mhm.
to see the Panamanian flag." These are just not, you know, generally speaking, nobody mentions Panama during the Super Bowl, and,
Yeah.
I'm not sure that they should every year, but this year they did, and it was, yeah, it gave me a
Yeah.
real, a
I
real,
can
real boost.
I can imagine that, like, the sense of pride that we
Hmm.
experienced as what I'm gonna identify as Black American
Yes.
primarily
Yeah.
from Kendrick's performance last year. For
Yes.
those of like the Afro-Caribbean diaspora, I can only imagine what
Hmm.
that pride
Yeah.
must be like for you all to be big upped on a state on like can't get any larger than Super Bowl halftime performance.
It can't, and there were things similar to, and I think it's very interesting that these are back to back. I just think
Yes.
it's fascinating
Same
because,
choreographer as I understand it too.
oh,
Like
really?
she's
Oh,
choreographed
that's
several of
interesting.
the last Rock Nation.
That that is interesting because I specifically noted, because I haven't, it was just yesterday, so I haven't been able to do any kind of deep dive yet. But when I did my initial sort of just reacting out loud and recording it, one of the things I called out, I was like, this choreography is crazy.
Hmm.
Between the reggaeton section, and there were just some straight up sort of salsa Latin dancing at the
Yep.
wedding scene. I thought that added so much to what we were experiencing. And I also thought it was interesting. It was funny because I saw somebody who perhaps didn't enjoy the performance quite as much as I did. Complaining. There was one shot of two guys like through a car or the truck window, and the
Hmm.
two guys start dancing together, and then they move out from there and they whatever.
Yeah.
So it was quite lit. If it might not have even been 2 seconds,
It was a flash. I
right?
know what you're referring to. It was a flash.
And so I had two react. First of all, I noticed it in real time and thought, okay, like we checking all the boxes today. Like we are not on some exclusion at all. But I also thought, like, isn't it telling that there was so much dancing and there were so many people dancing? And then you had, like, in that wedding kind of space, you had like a grandpa looking guy like dancing with the little girl at one point,
Hmm.
and they're dancing, right? There was so much
So much dancing. Yeah.
that someone could identify that moment and be like, that's what it was all about. And like, people danced for 13 minutes. That was like two
And that was your
seconds.
takeaway. That's
And
what
that's
you
your takeaway.
attached to and put your energy towards.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned it had
Yeah.
like guests at my house. We were all watching.
Mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm.
guess we may get to the game. I don't know, but
I
this is
know,
far
I
more
know,
exciting,
I
right?
know.
But
Right,
like
right, right.
similar reaction here, like that flash is like, oh, okay, I see you. Like
Mm-hmm,
you really are
mm-hmm.
trying to create this particular image of what this country is, or in your mind
Right.
should
The
be.
reality, or could be, right.
And you talk
Absolutely.
about it being like, conciliatory and defiant. And I don't know why Frankie Beverly's We Are One came to mind. And then
Mm.
and then Kendrick's verbal intro to the performance last year, like, you picked the right time, but the wrong,
Wrong guy.
wrong guy.
Mm-hmm,
Like
mm-hmm,
it kind of had
mm-hmm,
like, and for
mm-hmm.
some, Benito is definitely the wrong guy. It took a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage to do what he did and command the stage singularly. Like it was
Yeah.
just him, right?
It
Like
really was. I mean, there was some
he
other
wasn't. He
stars,
had
but
dancers around him, but he didn't have
yeah.
dancers flanking him the whole time. He was walking on
Mm-mm.
elevated and doing his thing, which is amazing. I just thought there was a lot of courage reflected in that performance.
I like the use of the word courage because I think it's generally an important thing, and to face up to fear. But I think this moment in particular calls for courage. And I think one of the things that he put forth in his Grammy speech, but then I think here, that's a specific kind of courage, is the only thing great, like more powerful than hate, is love.
Hmm.
And I'm sure I'm not alone in the in having had to sit during some of the overall experience we've been having in this country recently and recenter myself on love because I felt some things very far and different than love at different points. And to me, that's a it takes a lot. It takes to me an emotional maturity
Mhm.
to say, I know what you're saying about me. I am addressing it, but this is how I'm not going to address it by cussing you back. I'm not going to address it by insulting you. I'm simply going to state what is, which is these people are, this culture is.
Mhm.
I mean, they had an actual, I didn't realize at the time, but I heard later that was a real wedding. I was like, what?
I've heard differing accounts on that. I heard it was a real wedding. I also heard it was like representative of like I guess a number of couples get married to. He's heard a lot of couples get married to his music, so it was like an homage
To that.
to. But in
Got it,
either
got it, got it.
event, it's dope. It's dope either way. Like going back to your point about the intentionality and the level
Yeah.
of detail and
Yes.
the coded and not so coded messaging.
Yeah.
This is the type of
Excuse
slow
me.
burn where like I'm going to need back to go. I'm going to need to watch it probably at least probably for me 3 more times.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those times I'll need to have a translator on so that I
Yeah.
can appreciate
Yeah.
everything that's being said.
Yeah, I mean, I know some Spanish, and I
Right.
use that very loosely. So there's no way I'm like tracking somebody rapping in Spanish. You know what I mean? Like,
Right,
there's no
right,
way. So I'm gonna
right.
have to do some of that myself. Um, sort of. And I thought it was powerful that if you don't ever decide to learn a lick of Spanish, I think there's still a ton to pull from there.
I don't need Spanish to
Right?
to feel deeply moved and to feel like I understood fundamentally what he was trying to communicate. Does knowing Spanish help? For sure. Like,
Of course, of course.
but
Yeah,
it was so universally framed that you don't. But knowing what was said is helpful, but it
of
won't
course.
ruin or it doesn't render it impossible to understand what was going on.
And I did think one of the important pieces, especially in America right now, and even I wasn't even thinking what I'm going to take it to in a moment, but I really loved the generations. I know I mentioned it just now with the dancing. I loved him handing that Grammy to the child, which I took as being a younger him, but there
Younger
are
him
different
is what
theories
I've
on that.
read. Yeah.
Yeah, but and I loved it. I loved it
Hmm.
everywhere. I don't know how old those people actually were, but they certainly had about my level of gray going on and seemed like maybe they had been here, a few more years than me. And I thought, oh, like even that is its own commentary
Hmm.
in a country where, and I'll speak for myself, I feel we talk real loud about the importance of kids, but I don't know that our actions, our policies, our systems reflect a love of children that we
Right.
profess. And
Right.
certainly as people get older, they become dispensable, right? Like who would think, we need for our halftime Super Bowl, some senior citizens. But there they were, and I felt like they added an immense amount of richness. When he came around that corner and them men was playing dominoes, I was like, oh, it's about to go down. It's
Yeah,
about to go down. And
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
what? When he got to those two places, I was like, oh, okay. Okay, you ain't fooling around today. And I just, for me, and I'll connect it to some other things that are going on, but at a time where it's so easy to say, oh, we're going to cut SNAP benefits, or it's so easy, frankly, to ignore the Epstein files, which I don't want to go too far down that path. His saying like, no, we are family. Like that's the point. Like
Hmm.
everybody's in the family, down to the little kid. And I this was so reminiscent of Panamanian gatherings that I've been at. Like I really had another reaction when they're in that wedding scene and there's a little kid sleeping on a football. And he kind of wakes
Hmm.
the kid up and then the kids run off and play. Because I distinctly remember the parties going late. And at first it was fun, and it was like, we's tired, and the adults are still, having their good time. It's like, you just find some place and go sleep. I mean,
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
let me know when y'all done. So even that felt like, wow, yeah, I remember those kinds of parties. I remember
Mhm.
parties where everybody from 8 to 80 was in the house and music was playing and food was being eaten, and that was just, the thing. So I think we could use more of that, aside from some of the other problems that we talk about before any of this most recent stuff came into the picture. I felt like the United States would benefit from that kind of thinking. I'm not necessarily saying that everybody's got to have, 3 and 4 generations living in the house,
Mhm.
but I thought it spoke to just a love across all of them that I'd like to see more of.
Yeah.
You know, even the way we talk about getting older in this country, sometimes I'm like, dang, like, is it like that? You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
my understanding of life is that's the goal, and but we really denigrate it. I mean, in many ways try to avoid it. So I just liked, I don't know, I like that it was all front and center. There was
Mhm.
so much representation.
Yeah.
Um, and even I don't know that this is true, but now that I think about it, the only thing I think what was said in English was United States. Like, because he didn't say Los Estados Unidos. So it was almost like he wanted to make sure
He
that
like
was understood.
right, right. At the end of the listing, he says United
Mm-hmm.
States.
Mm-hmm.
That and
Mm-hmm.
Lady Gaga's performance were the only
Right. That's right. Of course. Yeah.
parts in English. Um,
Yeah. 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 So a few other things, since I wasn't necessarily planning that we were going to go down the Bad Bunny path first, but I agree with you that it was more interesting than the game, than
yeah,
the bad game.
I can speak more to it than I can.
The
But
game
let's
was fine. I mean, it was fine. I mean, it wasn't a bad
yeah,
game, but it wasn't
it
like,
wasn't but it
oh,
wasn't yeah, yeah, it
it wasn't. Yeah,
uh,
yeah, it was fine. It was fine.
but
But
I
yeah.
kind of feel like the season ended and Super Bowl like went the kind of way the season felt like you went into the season
Mm,
not really knowing who was going to
yeah.
come out on top.
Mm-hmm.
The Eagles were the
Mm-hmm.
defending, but shaky.
Yeah. It never quite felt like,
It
oh, they
never
got
quite
this. It
felt
was.
like, oh yeah, they're about to
Mm-hmm.
dominate in a way like consecutive Super
Mm-hmm.
Bowls like the Chiefs. Like it
Mm-hmm.
never felt like
Mm-hmm.
that. Couldn't have predicted that the Chiefs would just fall off the table and not make the playoffs. Like
Yeah, that
so
was
much
not. Yeah.
unpredictable stuff. You could have predicted that the Eagles might fall out in the first round, but predicting that the
Mm-hmm.
Chiefs wouldn't make the playoffs
At all. Right.
at
Right.
all. Like you,
Yeah.
so the season in like the Patriots and the Seahawks ending up in the Super Bowl felt very apropos, like given the nature of the
Yeah.
season.
That's a great point. It did have that vibe of like, I guess. Like that was I mean, I'm happy for my friend. I have a very good friend who is a Seahawks fan. So I'm very happy for him. And I'm not trying to like, but that was my overall vibe of the matchup, even as we're
Hmm.
approaching, was kind of like, all
Okay.
right,
Yeah.
sure. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the Super Bowl. I'm gonna watch it, but
Sure.
yeah, and it had some of that to it. But back to the part we both found more exciting for a moment. I
Sure.
thought one of the most powerful elements of it was starting with the sugar cane.
Hmm.
They're
Hmm.
in the
Hmm.
sugar, they're in the fields, and then as they come in, that's part of the set. And for me, it was a couple of different things. One is, if you're from some of these places that he's talking about, and certainly if you're from Puerto Rico, sugar cane was like
Sugarcane
is
is
a
king.
major, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a major
Yeah.
export, it's a major crop, it's a big deal. But I also, and this may be my lens, so I'm gonna do some more research, but I took it also as a bit of the discussion of like of the exploitation
Hmm.
of places like Puerto Rico, and Puerto Rico specifically. I think, the whole idea of banana republics, like, it
Hmm.
really comes from like, they didn't want to pay for more bananas, so they would just overthrow your government.
Right.
And that kind of thing. And to me, starting it there, the way I would articulate it, I'm not saying this is the way Bad Bunny would articulate it, but for what I saw there, it was, oh, don't act like you don't know us now. You made
Yeah.
all that money off the sugar. You came over here and took this and moved it. You know what I mean? Don't act like you don't know us now. That was a bit of my. So I don't know if that stood out to you specifically, or there was anything else like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it stood out to me, not so much in the context of the sugar cane, although I like when I saw the sugar cane, I'm like, okay, so we're going roots here. Like this isn't some like
Yes. Yes.
you're getting very much like the origin story of like the profiteering that's occurred in
Right.
Puerto Rico, right? Uh, the um the poles, the electric poles,
Mm-hmm.
and the work and like, okay, yeah, I know
Yeah. Speak on
electricity.
it. Go ahead. Go
Yeah, like
ahead. Go ahead.
electricity be going in and out in our territory there, and
Mm-hmm.
it's due to
And
neglect at the local level and lack of investment from the US and grift and corruption. And yeah, so they be having problems with the lights and power often,
And
right?
I thought specifically, and I'm of course going to forget the name of the hurricane, but the hurricane
Hmm.
that we have the lasting image of the tossing of the paper towels, which is
Yeah,
still like
really. Yeah.
even if really
Can't find it.
that
Can't.
struck you as like a thing to do. That really
Yeah.
struck you like
Couldn't find that little thing most of us have
I
in such
I
moments.
so I if it was I took that I felt that that was a commentary there too. Yes, I
Hmm.
think generally and infrastructure issues, and even the fact that so many Americans apparently have no idea that that Puerto
Puerto
Rico is a
Rico
part
is
of
a
the
part
United
of America.
States.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah.
And I thought, whoa, yeah. Anyway, I thought again, it was a way. One of the things I liked about it generally, and I always respect people who are able to do this effectively. To me it felt like I have something to say, and I'm gonna say it. I'm not gonna fight with you about it. I don't need to scream it, right? Like there was a you use the word courage, and I think that's yes. And I would add that there was a confidence
Hmm.
in the communication.
Hmm.
It was like, I ain't gonna argue with you. We both know what went on in them sugarcane fields. We both know what's going on with this electricity. We both like I'm
Yeah,
saying
yeah.
what is.
What
I don't
is?
have to.
And I'm looking square in the camera. Like he gave a lot of
Yeah,
this. Like he did not. There weren't.
yeah,
There were just occasions, were moments where he's giving you like this kind of directness, closeness. You can't escape it. Like I am here to tell you how it is, or show you how it is. I'm
and
not
and
backing
and
away from it.
I'm not. That's right. And that again, that's a to me there was such a balancing. I think they must have done a lot of thinking about the looking into the camera, the constantly walking. There was just a sense of progress, right? Like there was just all this forward motion through the whole thing. People marching through. Even when they came with the flags, they didn't just come in whatever. Like they came from back around the
Right.
Marqueta and then marched through. Like, I think there was just this sense of like forward progress, movement.
To that
Um,
point, did you
mm-hmm.
see the stat? I think it
Mm-mm.
was like he covered 120 something yards in the course of that performance,
Oh,
and the
really?
Patriots had 79 rushing
Stop,
yards.
stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. Just you stop it right now.
He,
You
yeah,
stop it
yeah,
right.
yeah,
You stop it right now.
yeah,
That is hilarious. I believe it because he was
yeah.
on the move.
He
I
was
was
on the move.
yeah. To actually the choreography point, I'm actually even more curious because I had the same reaction last year to
To
Kendrick, where I was
Kendrick.
like,
Kendrick
listen,
covered a
bro.
lot of ground. We didn't talk
I was
about it
like,
then, but
whew.
he was moving. He was
So it's
moving. Yeah.
interesting that that seems to be something that works for that. But yeah, I found myself consistently thinking the clearly this man got some things he want to say, but he has that gift. And I call it a gift because I don't feel that I always frankly I always get there. I aspire to it, but like where you have to make the tough point, but you can make it in a way where nobody can act like, oh, can you believe? I mean, the man held out a football, and this one really struck me. But when he held out the football, it says, "Together we are America,"
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
it was like, first of all, you have right now, frankly, Donald Trump declaring himself president of Venezuela, which I'm like, okay, what? But as they're talking about, oh, the Western Hemisphere is all ours, and basically everybody just exists for the pleasure of the United States. So I thought there was that level of slow down, player.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
are all America.
We are
Slow
all we
down.
are all Americans.
You
We are
know,
all
but
Americans.
then even when you look within the United States of America, I was like, but it's also true there. Some of my theory on MAGA, and again, I want to talk about him. I don't want to get off into let's just have a pure political conversation. But to me, some of what the MAGA experience has been for me is, but that's not reality though.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
can see we debating over how, but I'm like, but that what you just said is not what happened or what is happening or how vaccines work or you know what I mean. And so when people are like, "Oh, we just gonna take everybody and kick them out," I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa! Who you kicking out?
Right.
It's our country now. You messed
Right.
up before. You messed up hundreds of years ago. You take it up with them, but it's our country now. Like you ain't just gonna eject everybody out the paint." And I'm not sure, honestly, I'm not sure they really want to as much as they like screaming about it.
About well, yeah.
You see what
It's
I mean?
the screaming and the reality of the scream and the outcome of the scream, two different things. And I mean, we're seeing that in real time, right? Like with these deportations, like you thought you wanted it, but then when it started coming down your street, it's like,
And,
maybe
and
not. You know, like you having, yeah,
maybe not,
maybe
right?
not.
Maybe
Um,
not.
I'm stuck on, and this is, I think, probably because I'm from the South and I'm from a state that touches the Gulf of Mexico.
Mm,
The reframing of what it means to be American, like, just touches my soul and my
mm,
petty soul, probably. I'll admit that, like, this whole
mm-hmm.
ridiculous debate around, renaming the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. Well, based on Bad Bunny's reframing of what America is,
Right. Go ahead and call it
sure.
that if you want.
I mean,
Right. No, that's a good point. That's a good
yeah,
point.
It's the Gulf of America. But no, in seriousness, like I
Mm-hmm.
just loved that
That's a good point.
he reminded us, and I'm talking about us Americans, like
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that perhaps we're not as exceptional as we think we are,
Yes.
and that we are actually a part of something, not off
And
to the side from it or better than, but we are a part of America. We are the United States of,
of America. Right. Right. You know,
right?
I love it the way you just framed that of like the exceptional piece because here's what I will tell you that about what we just saw. And I love that you framed it that way because okay, so obviously I have my Panamanian heritage. So I'm going to sort of be dancing a little bit here as to how I'm presenting this. But in terms of what I have experienced or seen as the overall Black reaction in part to Bad Bunny and in part to the reaction to Bad Bunny
Hmm.
has been Black people like, well, I don't know the words, but look like I'm gonna have to go learn, or I don't know the words, but I'll be dancing anyway, or I'll be talking crazy, but I don't know the real words, but I'll be there. To me, there's a sense of like, y'all could be amazing over there, and I can be amazing over here. I don't need you to not be amazing to know that I'm amazing.
Hmm.
And that felt to me like it was throughout that performance, and I feel like it is the opposite of what I've seen in the what I'm going to call the MAGA reaction. And I think it's I think I heard Toni Morrison describe it this way, but like if you can only feel tall because you forced me onto my knees, I think that was the phrasing,
Hmm.
and it was something
Hmm.
in that vicinity, and I think we have to force people to take a look at that. Like, what's that about?
Mhm.
Like, what is that act? Because truly, my reaction to the entire performance was, I need to go work on my Spanish.
Yep. And
Not
my Spanish and my salsa, like, I both
right,
need work,
right.
right?
I was like, and that my and I do, but I think it is relevant to a lot of the conversations we've had, whether it's about how people talk about women's sports, whether it's about race in sports, who got to play certain positions in football specifically, but in other
Mhm.
sports as well, how we talk about even soccer. I
Yeah.
remember there was like a beer commercial at one point that was supposed to be, Miller High Life, All American Beer. And it was like, oh, it's no problem if a ball, blah, 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 if a baseball comes through the window or football, but should a soccer ball ever come through that window? It's like, ha, 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 because a good American man is going to put up with soccer. And I'm like, what is that?
What is that?
Like, what
Yeah.
is, like, I know nothing about polo, but I'm not mad at polo. And if you
Right.
like polo, you should go watch it. Like, I don't get that part. That's really been hard for me to process, that like there has to be this venom about it,
Mhm. Yeah,
as
I agree.
opposed to, all right, it's
I agree.
somebody else's
Yeah,
thing.
somebody else's thing. I'm not gonna jam them up about it. They
Yeah.
let me live, I'll let them live. Let's but
Yeah.
it
And
it be
yeah.
but it be like this whole Bad Bunny thing and I think we talked some about like some of the player reaction and polling to his performance and that 40 something percent and all that. Like
Mm-hmm.
not appreciating like let me go back to soccer first.
Yeah.
Most popular sport in the world? Is that
Period.
yeah, is that's
Yeah.
like beyond
Yeah.
so
Like,
we are the we are in this country, we are the exception to that rule.
right.
We're
Right.
exceptional in a way that's not necessarily that does not place us in alignment with the interests of the majority of the world from a sports
Right.
standpoint.
Right.
We're not soccer is not football.
Mm-hmm. I mean, not even close.
Right.
But
I mean,
right, but I
soccer,
know
right,
what
soccer,
but I
right.
know what
You
you
know what
mean
I'm
in
saying. You
terms
know what
of
I'm saying. You know what I'm saying.
in terms
Exactly.
of
Right,
our
right.
language. Yes, yes,
So
yes, yes.
that's our thing that we need to be catching up on.
Right.
Everybody else is up on game. We're the ones that are out of lockstep. Like,
Everybody else is up on game. And that's how I felt last year too. Like, again, when I hear, I'll make an example. Like, I've heard when the sort of country rap fusion started happening,
mm-hmm.
I was like, really? Like, I know hip hop can go anywhere, but I was like, but my reaction to it was like, well, let me go check some of this out. Like, okay, what y'all got going on over here? But it wasn't, how dare you? And I
Absolutely
think,
not. Yeah, yeah.
and being the idea of being up on game as opposed to whatever I find interesting or whatever I like or whatever I do is the only thing that is even worth discussing, looking at, considering, is at the heart of so many of the conversations that we're having. And it's a very specific thing that I feel like I'm just seeing new version of it, new version of it, new version of it. Because, I think it's hilarious that, you put on the right, listen, Shania Twain, you put on That's Still the One, you'd be like, where
Oh,
did Orlando grow up in Dagon, Alabama?
it's a universal bop. Everybody has to figure it
And
out
I
when that
don't,
song comes on.
I don't have to hate on it. Like,
Right,
hey, the
right.
woman knocked it out the park. She made it
And
happen. Like, I'm
and
with it.
listen, what I just want to see is for some of the hypocrisy to end. So we know that in a couple of seasons, I don't think it's next season, but the following season, by the following season in the NFL, I guess that would be the 27-28 season. Every team, I think we discussed this here recently here, like
Mm-hmm.
every team will have like an
That's
international
right.
game in
That's
season,
right.
right?
That's right.
So if you didn't like Bad Bunny, weren't checking for him, when that game that's being played in Rio de Janeiro, I think the Cowboys are playing, no less. I think I need to check. Don't let me hear you got a ticket, because why are you going?
Yeah. Yes.
Like, don't like
Yes.
if
100%.
like if
Yes. Yes.
if it's so distasteful to you
Right.
that football is being merged into
Mm-hmm.
non-English speaking countries,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
then seems to me like you should want your American football on American soil, and so just stay statewide for the games. If you
Well,
feel that like strongly about football being American and only English needing to be spoken,
Mm-hmm.
during halftime, then just fall back. Just keep your football American. Stay here. Don't do all that traveling.
I love that you said that, and I think the hypocrisy you point out there, specifically of this NFL fan or what have you, who feels like, oh yeah, we're gonna spread football everywhere, but we ain't got. To me, it's the hypocrisy at the core of colonialism.
Yes.
It's the
Yes.
hypocrisy at the core. I'm gonna spew Americanness across the globe, but it's right, which is different than what we've been discussing this whole time, which is a cultural exchange. Even reggaeton. I'm like, if rap doesn't exist, reggaeton doesn't exist. But then again, if
Exactly.
salsa doesn't exist, reggaeton doesn't exist. Then again, right? Like if reggae doesn't exist, then reggaeton
Hmm.
doesn't.
Hmm.
But that feels so natural to me. That feels like, of course, like that. Of course, you would do that. You'd be like, hey, like I never made chicken with yellow rice before, but guess what? It bangs, and now I do.
Right.
Like,
Right.
right? And I think we're seeing an extension of that idea, an extension of like, I want to sell this stuff to you. You should buy it. You should embrace it. Isn't it wonderful? But I don't want to know anything about you. And
Right.
as a matter of fact, I will denigrate. Not only don't I want to know, I will denigrate
Yeah.
anything about you
Yeah.
while I'm saying to you, oh, but we family when it's time for me to sell you something.
Right. Right. That's my point. Like, no, you can't.
What
You've
are we
chosen,
doing?
bruh. You've chosen. Like,
You've chosen, and
stay
you're
where
gonna
you've chosen to be. Like, that's all I'm saying.
the people who are like, oh, globalist this and globalist that. I'm like, oh, but it's not globalist when y'all selling iPhones all over the world. It's not globalist, right? I mean, and I think not only that needs to be called out, but I think more and more people have to speak to the fact that it ain't gonna go down like that,
It's not, because
right?
the NFL is fundamentally a capitalist enterprise. And at the end of the day, Mr. Goodell and his bosses, the 32 owners, there's more money worldwide than there is in the United States. It's not
What
hard math.
I mean, and whatever we believe Mr. Goodell actually believes, what I do believe is he is a capitalist to his core. And that way, I get how Jay-Z and Roger Goodell can sit in a room and work
Oh,
out a lot of
yeah,
things.
easily,
Them two
easily.
men, they are some capitalists. And I don't even use. I mean, I'm saying it like that, and I am kind of being funny, but for real, it's not even an insult. It's just like that's their framing of the world.
It's who they are.
He,
And that's, I mean, that is just who they are. I mean,
he,
Goodell was dapping up and hugging
yes,
Benito
I was just
so
gonna bring.
hard,
I was
like,
just gonna bring
went
that up.
back in for the hug, in fact. Like, they had hugged, stepped
He was
away, and he brought it back in.
he was like, don't, I'm gonna make sure now. When y'all put together them TikToks, y'all gonna have to don't try.
Right. No,
Now, to me,
keep this
that's
part
not.
in. Keep this part in.
You know what I'm saying? That is not the behavior of a man who is willing to have his paper short in the name of white supremacy. Like he might whatever he believes in his personal life. He was like, that is not the business
That's
model.
not the hill we're gonna die on for this, like, capitalism over everything. And that, I mean, I will acknowledge that, there was not too long ago in this country where white supremacy was prioritized over capitalism, particularly here in the South.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
so it can be easy to take a Goodell for granted in that sense, because like,
100%. I
there
I
have been good commissioners and there have been owners who have chosen white supremacy over capitalism. I mean,
absolutely. I mean, we've seen it. I mean, like when you just look at it, like
Washington team to kind of,
yeah, 100%. I mean, how long did it take to go? Come on, y'all. Y'all really? I mean, I think we've had this conversation for long
yeah,
enough. Like, could y'all just go ahead and change the names and knock it off?
yeah.
But there was just, and I actually had an idea, have an idea. I don't know that amongst all the ideas, but that I'll get to this one. But I have wanted to do some writing about, and maybe it would be a book or maybe it just be some essays, whatever. But the idea of at what cost whiteness. And it's
Hmm.
a question I asked, but way before any of this MAGA stuff. But I remember thinking like they have sacrificed a lot. Like they have sacrificed a lot in the name of whiteness. Like whatever else we feel about whiteness, and but like just looking at it straight ahead, I'm like they have been willing to, I mean, do things I think are somewhere between suicidal and I don't know what else
Yeah,
in the name
in the
of
name of
whiteness.
whiteness. That's right.
And I think you're right when you highlight that it stands out because there's that reality. It stands out when you see white men like Roger Goodell. And I'm not saying this again, I'm not picking on him, but he don't strike me as, he'd be sitting at home reading Stokely Carmichael either, right? So, okay. But like where he's like, no, man, y'all ain't gonna mess up my paper over this.
Right. And I want to be clear, and I don't want to speak on your behalf, but I imagine you, I'm pretty sure you agree with me. Like this acknowledgement of Goodell having clarity around this particular thing is about this particular thing.
Yes.
Who's going to perform at the halftime show?
Yeah.
Obviously, there's
yes.
still some opportunities where supremacy is winning out over capitalism.
Okay. So
right.
yes.
And, but yes, this is very specific to, he's clearly decided, Jay-Z, I don't always know what it is he has in mind, but these last several years, I haven't always seen the vision, but I've gotten mad paper from it. So I'm a trust Jay-Z. If he says Benito, if he says Kendrick, so Jay-Z's got that track record where he gets a broad berth, a wide berth.
Yeah. Oh no, if I were an NFL owner, I'd be like, oh yeah, like for the foreseeable future, I like this setup. We had all the eyeballs. I mean, actually, somebody showed that at the president's gathering, as much as they were like they had some video and you could see that the halftime show was on in the background. So like for all the screaming and yelling, it was still watched.
They watched that. They watched that. Yeah.
Because I mean, that other one. I mean, the other one was so laughable to me. At one point this morning, I was like, should I go watch it just to see, like, just so I could speak on it? I was like, nah, man, like, I'm not spending 13 minutes of my life. I don't know how much time I got left watching that.
Well, that show was like significantly longer than the halftime show.
No.
It started well before, the halftime show started and went past. Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't synced up to start, like they started before and yeah, it was more than so it didn't have certain eyes because people were still watching the end of the game. First half. Yeah.
I mean, anyway.
Or stopped watching it to watch the beginning of the second half. Like
I don't know why I'm surprised. I don't know why I'm sitting here like they didn't sync it up to the game. Like it seemed to be like that's a layup. Like of course it's a halftime show. Like why would you? But anyway, But that exactly that is why I was like, yeah, no, I'm not watching it. So and the performances have been again I'm gonna speak. I like provocative, I think, in the most interesting ways. They've made me think. They've made me go, I'm going to go back and watch that in a way that, and I'll use an example of one that I also enjoyed that Jay-Z did, which was the Dr. Dre one. Like, I watched the Dr. Dre one, and I was like, oh, that was cool. Mm-hmm. Yay. But I wasn't like, oh, I better, like, sit down now and start taking notes and like, whoa, why were we? These last two, I've been like, oh, this is serious stuff. This is art. You know what I would call it? I would call it art. I would say it was truly art.
Yeah,
it was a true expression of these artists. Yeah.
So I don't know. It's hard to imagine like who comes after.
I know.
I don't know the artist. Like Jay-Z is gonna have to surprise us, and
I think you're right because those were two. Like, it's almost like, do you really want to follow this? Do you want to be the third?
Can we go back to some other format? Like before there was a halftime.
You know what I mean? Like, because this is kind of like, I don't know if I want to follow that, but anyway. But let us, before we wrap up, we have a few minutes left here, but let us talk a little bit about the game itself.
Oh, right. Okay.
There was actually a game.
There was a game.
Yeah. So, like we pointed out, I sort of shrugged. I'm happy for Seattle that they were as good as they were this year. I heard all the stories about how tight they all are. It seems totally genuine as the players and coaches speak. It doesn't feel like they're selling us something. I feel like
Right.
however they achieved it, they've really created a culture in that space where they are tight and they care
Mhm.
about each other. Um, but overall, I thought the game itself was sort of a yawn. Um, I think were there no touchdowns in the first half, or maybe one right at the end of the first half. Yeah, it must have
I'm
been right
not
at the end because it was 19. It was 19-0 at some point.
mhm.
So, but I just
But
sort of found myself.
I'm not sure that happened in the I
Yeah,
don't think
maybe
the
you're
touchdowns didn't I don't think
you're
Seattle
right. It
scored
was
until the
12.
third quarter.
Yes, yes, you're right. The
Yeah.
touchdown because that was Barner in the third quarter. Because I remember it was
Yeah.
somebody I saying somebody made a bunch of money because I don't know how many people bet on AJ Barner to score the first touchdown. But yeah, I just overall I thought, okay, I get it. Excuse me, Drake May, it's your second year. I think we're seeing that, like, yes, you had a very good year, but there's still some work to be done. Defense, defense plus running game. I guess it felt kind of old school. Like
It
it
felt
felt
old
kind of.
school. It felt very there were parts that felt very old school to me, and a friend of mine who was here, and we're both Bama fans, and
Mm-hmm.
we started talking about the fact that we were both reminded of like Bama LSU
Mm,
2011, 2012, like
mm-hmm.
started off low score, like, and it was all like field goals and just nobody could get like running
Get
game
going,
really
right,
going.
right.
And I mean, Alabama ended up winning, but the way it started was very slow and nobody could really
Yeah,
get anything going.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Like there's
yeah.
no like. It's really not one play. I guess the strip sack interception touchdown
The
kind of play was cool.
the one at the very end where
Yeah,
like yes, like a strip, but it was like he tossed it right to the defender. Like in the
he caught.
strip, the ball
Yeah,
didn't go to the ground, the ball got airborne and like hit the chest
just.
of the
I
defender
mean, yeah, it was almost like he would have had to like move his hands to not
to
catch it.
not it just came to him and he's like,
Yeah,
"Well, I'm
off
gonna
I
head
go.
that way."
Yeah. So that was a highlight, I guess. But outside of
That's
that, it sort of felt like, okay, well, y'all played a football game. Great.
yeah. And I just I'm happy for the Seahawks. I to the extent that I was rooting for anybody. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's nice to have a year where like I didn't feel like I had skin in the game. Like,
Right. Right.
birds weren't playing. In prior
Yeah.
years it would have been the Chiefs that had me kind of invest. So
Right.
like it was nice to have an off year. The teams didn't excite me that much. Good to see the Hawks win. Like I said, like what I had seen of them, like feels like they feel like the one,
Right. Right.
coming into the off season. And
I
no
also
turnovers, no turnovers
in the whole game.
in the playoffs.
Oh, that's crazy.
No turnovers
That's crazy.
lots of turnovers during the season, but no
Not
turnovers
some
during the
new
playoffs.
playoffs. Oh, that'll. I mean that's one thing, and we can. I have one last thing before we go. But that's one thing I always, and I would even point out, like when I was coaching youth or whatever, I'd be like, you watch the Super Bowl, and I promise you, it'll be won or lost on things you learned here.
Hmm.
It's crazy to me. I always laugh about it because I'm like, for all, and I'm not pretending that it's not incredibly intricate and these aren't brilliant minds, but if you got a defense and you got a running game and you don't turn the ball over, you gonna win.
You're gonna win. Decent odds. Yeah.
I mean, and I just thought like, oh, okay, that was interesting. But I want to take a little bit of a step back
Yes.
from
Yes.
the actual field, just a little bit, and say that because of Robert Kraft, at least being MAGA adjacent, let's leave it there. I believe he's given a bunch of money to Trump, but even if he hasn't, there seems to be some whatever warmth, I'll call it, in that direction. This felt similar to me in the build-up to the Falcons Patriots. Not to bring up that rough memory, but the Falcons Patriots Super Bowl, because it felt to me, it somehow felt like when that went sideways, it felt like a metaphor to me. It felt
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
no,
Like this. I feel you. Yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I mean? Like it didn't
yeah.
feel like just like the Falcons were losing. It felt like the whole like anybody who was not MAGA was losing. And there was something last night that felt like in the other direction. Like Bad Bunny killed it. The Seahawks killed it with their owner who is totally away from any of that. And it sort of felt like I can go to bed not feeling conflicted about anything. Like
Yeah, yeah. Had similar
that's cool.
feelings, like craftless Super Bowl, but had similar feelings last year when the Eagles won,
Yes.
kind of like
Yes.
just some vibes we had been getting from the Chiefs side of the house. It felt like, okay, so
100%. A
yeah,
hundred
definitely
percent. I
similar vibes yesterday for sure.
so yeah, because I don't feel, and I think it's wise actually. Sometimes I feel like these different outlets need to speak a bit more to the kinds of things that you and I choose to look at. I think it's wise that they don't get too far into, well, this is the MAGA team and this is the, because I just think
No, no, no. I don't think
we don't
there's
need
much
to do that.
value. I don't need to think there's much value in that. It's enough as is, right? Like
Yeah, exactly.
the lines are
Um,
distinct enough where they are. We don't need
so,
to
but I
introduce
but
it
I
that way.
do think it's part of the overall vibe.
Hmm.
So I thought that was interesting last night too. I mean, frankly, just being a woman holding up that trophy as owner. I mean, in itself, I mean, it's happened before. I'm not saying it's never happened, but it's certainly not the norm,
It's
right?
not the norm, and I'll also add to the factoid count. Maria Taylor's the first. I think she's the first woman to host the pregame show and present the Lombardi Trophy
Is that
in
right?
the same game. Yeah,
I I I mean, it makes sense as you say it. I'm like, I can't. There's nobody who I'm like, well, what about so? Like, obviously there've been sideline reports, but yeah,
hmm,
so I again though, and I say it. I almost feel childish when I say it. It's baffling to me that that's upsetting to some people,
yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
nobody's saying we ain't gonna have not one more man, right? Like nobody's saying anything like that, but like just that to some people, like that in itself is something to be upset about.
Right.
Whereas I
Or
find
or
it
to
like
ref or to reference that, right? Like not only that in and
right,
of itself, but like, why do we
right,
have to make
talking
it
about it,
about that? Well, it says something that a league that is over 100 years old and has been holding these championship games in these way for almost 60 years has
60 years.
never had a woman play both, be in both those roles.
It
Like
felt
that is
very.
wild.
If it is wild, and it feels to me, and it's funny that you say that about the pushback when you mention it, or when one mentions it, because it feels to me a lot like the post-Obama election conversations, where it was like, you big mad, but you're acting like you big mad because I'm happy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But what?
Right.
Like, what are we? Why are we even talking about that? Well, because it's been
It's
200 and going on 50 years of this country, and this is a first, so
it's the first,
it's
right?
it's significant. So I thought that was anyway. I thought that the sort of the political piece hanging over it, especially since the president was interviewed during the pregame, and I was like, this feels a lot like a stump speech, but okay.
Well, he didn't.
Um,
He did not attend the game, and I think it was
right.
announced maybe in the last week or two that he wasn't going because it was too far in the
Mm-hmm.
country.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
he
Sure.
it's too far to like
Mm-hmm.
travel, but
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah. Sure.
just got
Mm-hmm.
back from like
Yeah.
Europe or something.
Sure. Yeah. No, he
But
seems
neither
like
here nor
he
there.
seems like the kind of guy who would totally consider how much of an inconvenience that would be to the people around him. If nothing else, he's known for it, his consideration of other people's convenience. Like, what are you talking about, man? Anyway, so that be that. But yeah, he I think it's telling that he chose not to attend, especially after last year. And I
Hmm.
think, anyway, I think that the politics around it always sort of fascinate me, especially when they're not overtly spoken. Last thing, we'll wrap up. I did share with you, so it's going to be our overtime for this time around. I did share with you that one Bill Belichick, who may be associated with the aforementioned New England Patriots, went to a UNC game with his boo thing, and she had on a T-shirt from a massage parlor, and coincidence of coincidences, it was the massage parlor where one Robert Kraft, owner of the New England Patriots, got himself into a bit of trouble. And I just thought that was wild. So I'm curious your take on it. I'll share my thoughts, but I just thought,
Yeah,
wow, we doing that?
we're this is where we are. We are in the not infamous for saying it, but I've been frequently saying here recently, like we're just in the upside down now,
For
and
real.
and maturity and comportment like just seem to be valued less. Um, and I don't have, given what we know is the background story and history of the relationship between Belichick
Right.
and Jordan, um, I'm almost rendered speechless by that, given like both Belichick and Kraft in this last 10-week period or so have
Right.
been denied first ballot Hall of Fame monikers and
Yeah.
um
Yeah. Yeah.
like like so they're in this boat together, right?
It seems. It
but
seems.
but reluctantly so. Like but
Mm,
where one goes the other follows. So it's very interesting that Jordan would kind of seek to poke fun at Mr. Kraft in this of all moments. Uh, it's just weird to me. Like I don't know of another. It's just odd behavior to me. Like
that was my reaction to it because I do feel like he wasn't. I do feel like he was allowed to escape a level of accountability in terms of my understanding of the story. So
I
so
agree. I agree.
right. So I'm not arguing that. How could like he should be called out. I just think that's a very odd person to be doing the calling out and an odd way to do the calling out. And it just
Yeah,
seems
yeah.
so petty and so like I was
And Belichick
what?
can't disassociate himself from it.
He's standing next to her.
He's standing next to her. He
You know what I'm
can't say,
saying?
"Well,
Like
that's her, not me." Like, no, that's not how that works right now. Like, what she does is a reflection on you because you
yeah.
choose to be in this close association with her.
I
Um, and
I
so
was
when she's
stunned.
wearing a t-shirt that's poking fun at your ex-boss getting caught up in a massage parlor in Florida, like that does not pertain to her lived experience of Mr. Kraft. That
I mean,
she doesn't
how old
have
could she
that,
have been
right?
when
She
it
doesn't
happened, if
have
I'm
that.
honest?
She doesn't
Mm-hmm.
have that. You're the one with
Mm-hmm.
the more lived experience of him. So folks are going to infer that that's, you that she's the
It's
puppet for what you want to say or put out there.
that also is interesting to me because I'm not of the like how could he let her wear that like she grown she can wear whatever
She
t-shirt
can
she
wear
wants
whatever she wants.
anyway,
Absolutely.
but having been a part of relationships ever what and like, it's impossible to separate him from that message and I just thought it was one of the things I found most amazing about his post Patriots life, and I think we've talked about this some already, is I just thought he would be. I just never saw him being a mess,
Yeah.
and he just feels like a whole mess to
He's
me.
he's a mess. Like his life it seems messy, right?
Right?
Like he's a
Like
mess and
I'm
his
like,
life seems very messy. Um
yeah, I just didn't see that coming. Like I would have the guy I pictured before all of this would have been like, I appreciate the support. I love you too. Go put on a different t-shirt,
Please,
please.
please, like this is
Please.
I still have to operate. I mean, we're at the Super Bowl. I still operate and still move in these circles. So help me, help me,
Exactly. Seriously.
like
So,
maintain my reputation and good standing with this community by
and
not
yeah,
drawing
so
attention to us because we're together. It
right.
draws attention to not just people are not going to separate you
How
from
could they?
me.
How
It's we
could
were
they?
together and you had on this shirt.
Yeah, so
So yeah, but this is who he's chose. Like he has chosen this for himself. So to the
mhm.
extent some of that dirt rubs off on him, he's chosen to get to like, okay, he's signaling he's okay with the dirt. I need him to blink twice if he's not okay with it and
If
he needs somebody to intervene. But
I
absent
keep
that,
I keep waiting for somebody to be like, "Oh, he's something." Cause I'm just, it's astounding
seems
to
so
me.
out of character,
It
given how much energy he's given towards establishing a certain persona.
exactly,
He seems to completely
exactly.
have abandoned it.
Like it, and I feel a little bit bad because this is a little bit of slander, and we'll get out of here. But I would expect like if you told me Chad Ochocinco's girlfriend did, I'd be like, he crazy. Why? But really, Bill Belichick,
Bill
like that
Belichick.
just I did not see that
Didn't
coming.
see it coming, but here we
And I
are.
don't think it's gonna get him any closer to the hole. Like my guess, and I don't have any information on this. Anybody else doesn't have is that some of those voters thought about Spygate and Deflategate, and they were like, "Screw that guy." I mean, I don't think anybody's going to come out and say that in front of a bunch of cameras, but my sense of human beings,
Hmm.
just
Hmm.
that's my personal theory. But if anybody was considering his post Patriots life and sort of going like, "Get your life together," this certainly is not indicative of that. So if anybody was including this in the general, like, I don't know if I'm voting for him right now, I think this just makes them feel better about that choice and makes them just that much closer to voting for somebody else again next year.
Yeah,
I,
and
I don't know that, but
for those who wanted to call his success with the Patriots like not of his own design, the fact that
mhm.
he didn't have a winning first season at UNC, it's like adds to this the narrative around that. Like,
And you would think he'd be focused on that. And I don't mean that in an insulting way. I even mean that in a thinking about the way he coached the Patriots and Mr. We're moving on to Cincinnati and all that kind of stuff. You got a whole football program that needs some work, bruh.
hmm. Hmm.
So shooting not so subliminals at Robert Kraft, I don't know that that needs to be a priority
Yeah,
right now.
you don't need, we often talking about players having distractions. Well, he doesn't need a distraction.
That's right.
Like,
And that's a great word because it's a word that's rarely used for certain people, as we've
yeah,
discussed. But this is a distraction
it's
because
giving distraction.
it's giving distraction. Great call, great call. Anyway, you and I could do this forever because we have
For
before.
sure.
But I'm gonna wrap things up. Thank everybody for being here. I am hoping, fingers crossed. I'm hoping on a lot of things, but I'm hoping to do a bit of a deeper dive in terms of the halftime show because I did think that was fascinating. So
Mhm.
be on the lookout for that and for upcoming episodes. We're live every Monday, uh, noon Pacific, 2 o'clock Central, and three
No,
o'clock. I'm doing it
no.
backwards. What did I just
So
do?
3 o'clock, 1 o'clock
That's what
Pacific,
I did last time.
3 o'clock,
See, this is what I keep
3 o'clock
doing.
Central, 4 Eastern.
That's why I was trying to do it because I was like, let me see if I can say this thing straight. That's what it is. It's 4 Eastern, not 3 Eastern. See, there we go. We got it. And I put this all on the live because I keep messing this up, man. Anyway, Michelle, you want to tell folks where they can look for you?
I am several places. I guess I am I think it's Michelle. Actually, I am AMC the JD on AMC the JD on IG. That's probably the best place to find me. Uh
Excellent.
yeah. Yeah.
Excellent. And I will we've been updating. We're trying to keep everything going. So we've been updating the notes on episodes. So that will be included as I continue to get us up to speed on that. So, but do take a look at the show notes. If it's not, it's going to be there soon. But if you're looking for us, that's where you can find us, and all that information will be there. Check out all the shows on the line originals. And until next time, you got some balls. Y'all take care.
Peace.